So hello and welcome to another Project Cars 2 video, where today we're covering the community event at Zolder in the BMW M6 GT3. Coming up in today's video, we'll be taking the obligatory drive around the circuit flat out. I'll also be spending a little bit of time looking over all my setup and explaining some of the changes that I've made and why I made them. I'll also be taking a slow drive around the circuit and explaining a few lines through the corners, and I'll be getting a little bit annoyed through that chicane, whilst also losing it massively. So without further ado, let's get started. Yeah, so here we are then in the BMW M6 GT3. Not particularly one of my favourite cars out of the GT3 range, but it's certainly one that I've grown to enjoy driving throughout this event, and I think I've finally tamed the beast, so to speak. So let's take a look at the flying lap, and this was racing against the Raptor that currently holds the lap record with a 1:30. Enjoy the lap. So as you can see, the Raptor sets a mind-bending first sector, unbelievable. So let's move on to the setup and let's have a look what's going on. I'm just going to make a few changes just at the start of this setup. I know I made some adjustments going back in to try and better my lap. So I'll just put these back to where they should be and we'll start right back at the tyres, I think. Just a few minor alterations I made there. So yeah, starting on the soft tyre, I've got to be honest, I did look at running the hard tyre, but overall I think just pushing the car straight from the first lap, I think soft tyres really are the way to go. Usually I'd be looking at the hard tyre around 120 degrees Fahrenheit, so I think the soft tyre runs better. Slightly softer at the rear as you would expect, and obviously the brake pressure is something you're going to choose yourself. This car really does suffer with oversteer on corner entry, so really bringing that brake bias forwards to try and combat the oversteer. And obviously we're opening out those ducts a tiny bit just to get some air to the brake ducts. Looking at the rear wing, I would go either 3 or 4 on the rear wing, definitely no front wing, but 3 does make the rear end a little bit tail happy, but I think that 4 would probably be the best way to go, although I did set my fastest lap with it on 3. And obviously you've got the longitudinal weight bias. Again, if you're struggling to get through the corners with lots of understeer, I'd try bringing it forward a tiny bit, but 50-50 I think is the way to go. So moving on to the caster angle, just one click up, 7.9, and running maximum front cambers just to try and get that front end grip. We're as low as we go on the suspension at the front and almost running as hard as we can on this front suspension. And the camber angle at the rear, I would say go between 3.2 and 2.8. Obviously 2.8 is going to give you a little bit more acceleration, but 3.2 is going to give you a little bit of better handling through the corners. And obviously the ride height on the rear is just slightly raised to give us that rake on the car. Obviously the steering ratio is set for myself, really using the McLaren wheel, and if you wanted to use something different I'd probably go a bit higher. Toe-in just to give it a little bit more response on the turning of the car, and the anti-roll bar at the front's quite softened out quite a bit just to try and combat some of that mid-corner understeer. Or you can obviously just stiffen up the rear a little bit if you're running wide with understeer. So moving on to the what we call the dampers. Yeah, I made quite a few changes on these throughout quite a few of my runs, and I wasn't particularly satisfied with them, so I think I've gone back to almost a factory setting. I just copied the Raptor's settings, and to be honest I don't think it's messed with them that much, just probably adjusting some of the bump stops, but they feel quite good as they are, so I've sort of left them as they were and sort of didn't mess with them too much, to be quite honest. Moving on to the boost pressure, obviously we're going to run max on the air intake. The radiator is closed out as much as it can. I'm running engine braking 4. Obviously you can't do very much with the gears, there's not much messing around there at all, and obviously the traction control, we're taking that off for this one. Although I am running ABS, I'm not running any traction control. It just kicks in far too much and really does hinder the car. And the preload at the rear, just to try and get the car to not oversteer too much on corner entry, I've just brought this down a bit. Usually runs around the 100, and again on the rear just to get that acceleration out of some of the corners on the power ramp, and again on the coast ramp, just bringing that right the way down just to try and combat any of that oversteer on corner entry. That's the setup. Let's take a slow drive. So there's plenty of opportunity to take a nice line into this corner to get a good exit to power out across the line, so trying not to get too much wheel spin as you come out of that corner. And already somewhere around here I'm starting to look right out in the distance, because I seem to have found a nice spot on the tarmac where I really do think that's the perfect braking spot, just highlighted there, but I'm sort of braking the tiniest millimetre just before that. You could probably go for the discoloration in the handrail on the left hand side, but I use that little bit of tarmac. And again, we're just going to try and clip the apex. You can take loads of this corner, just running over the curb and just letting it drift out right onto the other side of the curb. And again, we're looking for a little discoloration in the tarmac before we're braking heavy on the brake and turning in. And I definitely reckon take as much of that curb as you can. The car's bouncing around all over the place, and I really do think it just has a lot of grip. So seeing it at full speed, taking loads of the corner, Raptor again takes a nice exit through there and just carries lots of speed. And again, I just take a little bit too much rear end going through there and scrub a little bit of speed and just accelerating out, just taking a little bit curve there again. And I'm going to slow this down as we come into this corner, just so you can see how it just really progresses. Just braking where the shadow crosses the circuit there, and then taking as much curb as you dare on the inside. I don't know how Raptor manages to run through there without getting loads of understeer, having taken none of that curb. But going into this one, we're just braking just at the discoloration after the 100-yard board and taking a nice line through there. We'll take a little look back at that and in detail, because that really annoyed me coming through this section. It really is. I think there's a massive problem through that section with the track limits, and we'll just go through it time after time again. You can see perfect line through there. I'm quite happy with that one. Perfect line through there. Oh, no, I've picked up a penalty on that one. Again, nice line through there. Perfect. Really enjoyed that one. And again through here, you can see quite good. No, I thought that could have gone through. And again through this time, yeah, definitely that's a penalty. I'll take that one on the chin. And again, just pushed it far too much and he ended up in the dirt. What a mess. Did that a few times, to be honest. But again, coming through again, perfect line. And it really is a lottery coming through this corner as to whether you're going to pick up a penalty or not. So I really do try and find the best line you can, just braking nice and late and then taking a nice line through there. So coming up and over the rise, as soon as we can get the car straight, we're going to be heavy on the brake pedal, down into second gear. Just take the red and white curbs there, nothing more, or you'll pick up a penalty. And then it's really tentative to come out of that corner and just get on the acceleration and just try and hold it around those corners. It really is quite a tricky one. Into fifth gear as we come over the top and looking for the 100-yard board that we're going to hit, bang on, and then brake down, and just saving first gear to take a late apex coming out of that corner. Try and get as much traction as we can on the acceleration out of that corner. Looking for the billboard ahead and the shadow across the circuit. We're going to brake just before it, coming down into second gear, not taking too much of that curve where you pick up a penalty, and don't come out of the corner just like that. You want to be nice and smooth as you come out of that exit and get a nice acceleration across the line. So looking at where things stand currently on Xbox One, you've got the Raptor taking out the top of the leaderboard with an amazing 130.5. I'm sure that'll stay throughout the top of the leaderboard through the rest of this challenge, and I hope I'll get there in the 130s. That'll certainly be my goal. Anyway, moving on to the replay for all those replay lovers. Enjoy! So one thing I did just want to mention before we leave is the gear change. And as you can see in car, just look at the revometer on the screen. You can see that I'm changing gear as soon as we hit the red lines. I'm not waiting for the engine note to get into the sort of red end of the gears. Usually I'd wait to really just push the gear to maximum, but we're just waiting for it to hit that red line before we change gear, and you just get the most out of the car. It's got so much more torque low down in the gears, this car. That's just one more point to raise. Thanks for watching, and let's move on to the ending. Yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed the video, and good luck in the community event. For all your other Project Car 2 needs, please take a look at the Flashpoint Racing on Facebook, Discord or Twitter, and also check out the All Stars TT on Facebook as well. Two amazing groups with lots of different skill levels and lots of different events to take part in. Thanks as always for watching. Please do like, comment, and remember to hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. Ciao for now.